Welcome to the Painter Marketing Mastermind podcast, a show created to help painting company owners build a thriving painting business that does well over $1 million in annual revenue. I'm your host, Brandon Pierpont, founder of Painter Marketing Pros and creator of the popular PCA educational series Learn, Do, Grow, Marketing for Painters. In each episode, I'll be sharing proven tips, strategies, and processes from leading experts in the industry on how they found success in their painting business. We will be interviewing owners of the most successful painting companies in North America and learning from their experiences. On this episode of the Painter Marketing Mastermind podcast, we host guest Alex Corral. Alex is the founder and owner of Cabinet Coating Kings, a cabinet refinishing company based in Orlando, Florida that does several $1 million in annual revenue. In this episode, Alex shares the positive mindset he embraces and has dubbed boomnomenalism and the power he's seen that in transforming his own life. An entrepreneur through and through, Alex bet on himself when starting his business by emptying his bank account to purchase 3 spray booths, all with $0 in revenue. If you want to learn more about the topics we discussed in this podcast and how you can use them to grow your painting business, visit paintermarketingpros.com/podcast for free training, as well as the ability to schedule a personalized strategy session for your painting company. Again, that URL is paintermarketingpros.com/podcast. Alex, thanks for coming on the Painter Marketing Mastermind podcast, man.
I'm super excited. I'm grateful that you have me on, and I hope the viewers get all the golden nuggets they need to hear today.
I love it. So tell us a little bit about Cabinet Coating Kings.
Okay, so Cabinet Coating Kings is based out of Orlando, Florida. I started about 2.5 years ago. I split from another company I was with that, I built up to doing about $1 million a year, just cabinet refinishing. I'm a person who likes to be in a certain energy and a certain wavelength of, vibrancy. So I try to attract myself to the happiest, the most inspirational environments. And that other company, the owner of it was not that person, to grow with because of his, I would say, negative energy. So I split in 2019. And I started my own Cabinet Coating Kings. And within the first 6 months, we were doing 6 to 8 jobs. The first year, we brought in over $1 million. And now in the second year, we did 1.5. Third year, right now, we're doing about 8 jobs a week. I just bought another shop, so I'll have 2,000 square foot, 2,000 square foot shops. By the end of the year, my goal is to be doing 12 to 14 jobs a week.
Yeah. That's great, man. So you guys just do cabinet coating refinishing?
That's it. I could honestly have a countertop business. I could have a flooring business. I could have every business you could think of, just because my customers, always ask me. But I stayed away from that. And I'm like, I'm going to master cabinet refinishing. I'm going to be the best at this. I'm going to be the company, the standard here, and then I'll just find other companies to refer who are wanting to do the same thing as I am. And it's worked out the best, because now I'm not spreading myself thin. I'm not trying to learn too many things. In the future, I would say I could pivot horizontally, but right now I'm really getting the systems down so that in the future we can just spread like wildfire.
Sure. So what made you choose? I mean, it sounds like you were working in it previously, but what made you choose to niche into cabinet refinishing only?
Well, it's a funny story, actually. So before this, I never did anything in construction. I would be the one who doesn't know anything about anything, right? I am not handy, nothing. I had restaurants and nightclubs, and that's what I did. So I was really good with branding, marketing, advertising, the best place and best environment to be in. I very quickly realized that wasn't going to be the best life for me, for what I wanted to do in the future with my family and, my life. So I got out of that quick as possible. I was very successful with that. But I decided to just cut all ties and leave. So I was actually going to get a job. My background's mainly in sales. So I was going to be a sales director for the Centamark for their epoxy flooring all across Florida. I was going to train the sales team. So it was $100,000 job plus commission. I had a month until I was going to sign the deal. My buddy called me. He's like, hey, I have this cabinet refinishing business. You want to help me for a month? I'm like, yeah, man, that sounds cool. I don't know how to do it. Just teach me. I'll help you for sure. Long story short, I ended up denying the sales job. I joined him with his team. We grew that to that, certain point until I realized, he wasn't going to be the best person for me to be around. And then I got into this. So I would say this is kind of the only thing I ever learned to do in the construction industry.
How long did you work with your friend?
About a year and a half. So I built out I built out. So he was doing like 2 jobs a week. We got to like 5, 6. So I kind of built out how it was scheduled. We both built out management. He did more of the system of the process. So I learned that mostly from him. And then I, made it a little more efficient now. Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot. I built a lot of that structure so that when I left and did my own, it was pretty much, I was just pivoting to what I already, I would say, developed,
Sure.
So it wasn't difficult, but I put the hard work in to figure it out, because there was a lot of headaches, a lot of like nervous times in growing that business, because we were one of the newer niches. So we were learning as we were growing. So I definitely put in the blood, sweat, and tears, the faith in growing that. But in doing that, sometimes they say you work more in the beginning than what you actually make. And then in the long run, you work less for how much comes in.
Sure.
And I would say, I believe that statement for sure. You definitely put in your time, you learn the craft, and, things get easier over time. If you have the faith and you go for it, because you could just stay. I could have stayed. I could have been scared and stayed. But, I have faith, and I wanted better for myself.
Sure. Yeah, you gotta front load it, believe in it, take a bet on yourself. Let's talk about mindset for a little bit, because before we started recording, you were talking about how you started this company with a very specific mindset. I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah. So I started the mindset. I left and I built a shop. So I had 20 grand in my bank account. Okay. When I was done with the build out, before I started my first job, I had about 79 cents. All right. So yeah, but that's how I'm all in. I'm an all-inner. Like, I go and I have a strong belief, and we're gonna get it done. Like, I've done it many times. But I built a shop with 3 spray booths, because I built it like I wasn't planning on doing the jobs. I wasn't opening the company for me to do jobs. I was opening the company so that I can have 3 to 5 crews doing the jobs, and I could manage, sell, do the admin, and all the other stuff. So I built my first shop with 3 spray booths, knowing I was going to get to 5, 6 jobs a week. And I guess with that momentum, with that faith, with that energy, within 6 months, I was doing the 5, 6 jobs a week. The only reason I did that was because I built a shop. I started from the beginning with like digging the well, right? Like, I already had my vision, and, then the people came that filled the positions to have my vision come true. So it's been a fantastic journey of mindset, being a business owner and growing, and, having, these human beings who are your techs or your employees, begin I would say, the stride of trusting you. Because that I work in a place where my guys and myself are a family. They don't look at me like, oh, he's the boss, watch out. They're like, hey, Alex is our family. We got to do these things or he's gonna get mad at us, but he always has our back. I'm empathetic. I love my guys. I call them phenomenal as much as possible. I look at them in their eyes like they're the best, person that they've ever been. And I build them because I had to build myself up from a low place. And I have a lot of empathy. And I know everyone's filled with greatness. I just need a good character to start. And that's how I built my business. I was doing 9 jobs in that first year, but I had the wrong people. I had to fire half the people, go back to 4 to 5 jobs, keep the good apples, then have them trust me again that I wasn't going to do that to them. Like just be patient and feed into them and love them and have faith that it will grow back again. And now a year later, we're right back to that point where I was a year ago, but with hardly any stress. Everyone with great camaraderie. Like we're such a team, we're such a family. Now I'm growing into this next shop. Everyone's excited about the growth. So one thing I could tell people out there, when you're trying to grow, just growing and getting the money in, it's if you're in it for that, it's greed and it's going to come back at you, and it's not going to be as beautiful as it could be if you actually get the right people, the character, the people with heart. You see through them and you build them up so they can start trusting and knowing this world can be a good world. And, there is good bosses out there and they'll be loyal and do great work. And then it's like a big family and there's no stress and you're running a multi-million-dollar business. Well, for me, my journey has been up and down. Should I sell the business or not? Like many times, but I stuck in there and I saw the vision of what I wanted and I proclaimed it into my guys. Every Monday morning, I do a sermon of mindset, of being your highest frequency, energy, vibrancy, but in your own moments. Don't compare yourself to anyone else. In every moment of your life, what's the highest frequency, energy, vibrancy you could be at? So you're making your best decisions, and then you're getting out of the hamster wheel of making the same decisions over and over and over. And now your life starts changing and becoming better, and you start becoming happier.
Yeah, man. Are you, it sounds like you're really connected to your guys. Sounds like that's a big part of your mission.
Yeah.
Is focused on that. Are you working with W-2 employees or contractors, subcontractors?
Both.
You have both. Okay.
So let's put it this way. Some want to make more money. So I have them 1099, but it's a contract where they, I have them specifically contracted out every year, so they could do side work if they want, but they usually don't. I give them plenty of jobs, big jobs. They just like to take the rest on the weekends. The W-2s, if they want to have more of the workers' comp security with that, it's up to them what choice they want. But obviously, if they're 1099, they need to give me their workers' comp exemption, liability, insurance, and I do it by the book.
Alex, do you have a family?
4 kids, 4 dogs.
You have 4 kids and 4 dogs.
Yeah, and I run the business.
What did you have when you started this?
3 kids, 3 dogs.
3 kids. Every time you have a kid, you get a dog, or is it if you get a dog, you need to have a kid?
Actually, I had 2 dogs, and then someone who worked with me had some lab puppies, and I went to his house to give him a check for a job, and dude, he had like 12 beautiful Labrador retrievers in a pen, just in disgusting situation. So I'm like, I'm gonna take 2 of these and save their life because they're gonna die here. And then I got home and my wife's like, "What the heck are you doing?" But that's just me. I do stuff like that sometimes.
Now,
I'm blessed. They're awesome. They're awesome dogs.
Does your wife, does she work or does she stay at home? You have a lot of kids.
Yeah, so she actually works full time from home and takes care of the kids. But I've done such a good job. Well, I've done such a good job with the business where I'm done doing appointments by 1 o'clock, and I'm at home usually by 1.
Okay, nice.
So even running like a $2 million operation, I'm at home at 1 o'clock.
So I want to back up here, Alex. That's impressive, but I'm kind of hung up on this idea that you had. I assume you and your wife had in the vicinity of $20,000 together.
Right now?
No, when you started this business.
Oh yeah, I had the 20, and then she had whatever she, like, we split that, and then we have a joint one. But she was like, go, that's the only way you're gonna be happy, Alex, if you go for this. So
That's a huge
I mean, we just
bet.
went.
That's a huge bet.
Hey, if you're not with someone who, if you're not with someone who's willing to bet on you, but she questioned me, and I was convicted like a
She
warrior.
held your feet to the fire a little bit there.
Yeah, she's like, you sure? Like, but with these questions, I'm like, I gotta do it. She's like, you sure? Because those 3 or 4 times where I was like, nah, I'll just stay. Because I wanted to say, let me tell you something, Brandon. Me and that kid, if we were together now, you would know that company. It would be nationwide. I was awesome at one thing. He was awesome at another. Unfortunately, he couldn't overcome his ego and have a nice mindset and trust and share. So, now, I took over Orlando. So it was unfortunate. I didn't want to leave. It was just more of he kind of forced me to.
Sure. So you obviously took a big risk. You took a gamble on yourself. You essentially invested pretty heavily into your business before you had the work. How did you get the work then? You outlay essentially all the money in your bank account, build these 3 spray booths. What'd you do? How'd you get the business?
So I did have some people who wanted to work with me and not with the other companies. So I did have a couple jobs lined up.
Alex, you stole all their clients. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I did do this. I told that, I go, look, I don't want, you have to call them and let them know that's what you want to do. Because when I left, they're like, hey, they said you're not with them anymore. I'm like, yeah, I started my own thing. You got to tell them that you want to take back your deposit with them and come with me. I'm like, that you were theirs.
Keep it above board.
But I was the personality. I was that company. Everyone knew me. Yeah, and I call everyone every morning. I did all the customer service. So like, these people trusted me, not the company. They wanted
that
me.
relationship.
And that's why I'm so I would say such a branded company now, because it's still like, I still do it, and I will continue to do it in a way where I'll get my salespeople, get the admin, but they all have my culture. It will be a phenomenal culture. I call my culture boomnomenalism, because I say boom a lot and I say phenomenal a lot. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start boomnomenalism, and what that is be like, not comparing yourself to anyone else, being your highest frequency, energy, vibrancy in every situation, so that you rise all the time and you become better all the time, and you see, and you're self-aware, and you get away from your ego. And you can, Aristotle says wisdom is knowing thyself. So if you can't step back from yourself and be like, hey, these are where I could shift and pivot and maybe do a little different, where my life can be less stressful, or I can have more time with my family. If you don't try to change things and take some risk here and there, I mean, the same things are gonna happen. It's inevitable. We are an autopilot. Our brain is an autopilot of a computer. It has its normal mindset. So if we don't become aware and visually, like, try to change ourselves and our thoughts and our actions, we will have the same outcomes in life.
Yeah, I love that. There's the saying, what is it? Definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. But most people don't recognize what you just said right there, is that we default to routine. We're biologically structured to default to routine. It's essentially conservation of energy and efficiency. And so we will just continue. We'll go into a rut without even knowing that we're in a rut, if we don't consciously, forcefully change it.
You want to hear something cool?
I want to hear all the cool things.
I have a lot of people call it weird, but I think it's cool. Anyways, so my manager, he's my GM. He's phenomenal. A year and a half ago, I would say he was in depression. Never thought he'd be happy. Always had negative speech. By the way, how you talk is how your life turns out. We can get into that another time. But a year and a half later now, the guy's so confident, so happy, so motivated because we worked on ourselves and he believed in me and he noticed that what I was saying never changed for 2 years and that now his life is so much better. He's so optimistic about his life because he changed and pivoted his perspective on life. That's all you have to do. Like, think about a golf swing. If you hit into the woods and then you tee it back up and you just shift that driver head a centimeter, you could be right in the fairway. Like, that's all you have to do is shift like a little thought. And it takes time. Like, a lot of people don't understand, we're addicted to our thoughts. We're addicted to our routines. Like, it's like if we were addicted to a drug or alcohol, we are addicted to our thoughts. That's why when we try to change, we feel so bad. But the only reason you feel bad is because before you couldn't even understand that you were feeling that bad. Mm-hmm. So you should be happy that you can actually be aware of how bad you were actually feeling. And that's how you grow. So that's why when you're uncomfortable, you're growing because you're not used to that, So I always tell my guys, you're having a bad day, phenomenal. It's because you're noticing how bad you used to feel and you can't wait to feel better.
I want to dive into that. So when you're saying, you hit it into the woods and you just need to pivot a little bit, your project manager being pretty negative, now super positive. Give me specifics for people who are listening. What kinds of specific thoughts did you used to have? Do you see other people have, and how can they change it?
I'm going to take 2 to 5 minutes here to really to let people know about me real quick. Oh. So they understand so I call myself Mr. Boom Nominal. Okay. That's just because that's my practice and I want to be at my highest frequency, energy, vibrancy at all moments. Brandon, I wake up in the morning not feeling like Superman. Some days I feel like complete doo-doo. All right. Like, I don't want to do anything. Am I worthy of anything? Like, should I be expanding this? Is it going to fail? Dude, I get all the negativity thrown in my body. It's all up in me. And I stop and I'm aware. I go, hey, that's fear and scarcity. I go, I have the choice right now to pivot, to say, all right, I may feel this way, but I will be at my highest energy, frequency, and vibrancy in the most positive way I can today. And my intention is to be fearless, even though I'm feeling fearful. And my intention today is to, be there for someone who needs me. Because if I'm not at my highest energy and someone comes at me with a problem or an issue, or with their low energy, I may not be able to bring them up and, change their day. You get a bad situation with your business, someone calls in and you're in a bad state. You know how easy it is to let them have it, but you need to go above your ego. You got to be above your energy, in a higher power, so that you are the bigger person. That's what that means. You're the bigger person, not of anyone else, of yourself, because you're not acting in your autopilot. You're the bigger self and you're getting better. And every time that you're able to be aware of that lower thought and raise above it, it's the biggest wins that you'll never know, because we don't get an award for that. It's just months later when you're consistent and you believe and you stay disciplined, because with spirituality and faith and belief, there's still discipline. You got to be disciplined in the faith, and it's invisible. It's invisible. You don't know you're changing or good things are happening, right? It's not materialistic. A lot of people in construction or in any business is like, yes, I made 100,000 this year, 1 million. Like, I don't give a shit about that. If my guys were jerks, I would shut it down. I go, I need to live a happy life, growing phenomenal people who change the world. If you ask any of my guys, they would all say we work at a mental elevating academy as cabinet refinishers.
That is the first. I've heard a lot about sales companies, sales and marketing companies, people companies, leadership companies. You just said a mental elevating academy.
That's what I want. Look, I've been doing it with this certain passion in my heart that I know you guys know Tanner Mullen. He's been in my life for 10 years. He spoke some truth to me 10 years ago that changed my life. And it's never, God entered at that point. And, whatever you believe in, that's up to you. But, I believe strongly in God and in this universe, that when we give our faith and belief and positivity to it, it will work with us. Here's a little example of how I see how God works with us. So Brandon, I'm going to bring you in with this. When you give someone a present, right? Yeah. And this person is so excited, so grateful. Like, how's that make you feel?
It's pretty awesome.
Right. And you're like, man, I want to get this guy another present. Like, he made me feel great. Now, say you give someone a present and they're like, oh, thanks, dude. Like, how do you feel?
I have to go buy a better. No, I don't feel great. I feel a little deflated.
Right. But then do you want to go buy them another gift?
I usually psychoanalyze kind of what went wrong, but then I'm not super motivated to do it again.
So I see like God and the universe like that too. So we don't realize it, but we breathe air for free every day. I heard this podcast the other day where this guy was saying his grandma has to pay $500 a day to breathe air in the hospital. So like that little bit, like we get as much air as we want. Like that, we could think of abundance like that. I have an abundance of air to live. Our house, sometimes we don't think, our house is I'm so grateful for my house. We're always thinking in what we don't have. I don't have that bigger house. I don't have that $1 million company. I don't have that $5 million company. So even though we have great things, we're still thinking in lack and scarcity. And to get to those goals when thinking in lack and scarcity, you have to bulldoze through, and it takes so much energy. Then when you can be grateful for every little thing along the way to the bigger house, because you already have everything you need now, and you're gonna, the universe and God and yourself will work together to get you that bigger house. But you don't even care if you get it or not, because you got everything that you need right now. And when you think that way, when you're just so grateful all the time, you're already in the vibrancy of getting, and you'll get those things that maybe you've been trying for so many years in a year or two, just like with my company, and it's the gratuity, like just be grateful, like, oh, I'm breathing. If you're ever feeling negative, just be like, take a deep breath and exhale and be like, oh man, that feels good. Man, I just got some free air. Like, thank you, God. Like, just start being thankful. And I know it's so tough to say that, because I was in a place where all this shit didn't make sense. Okay. This is 10 years of me going on and off of this stuff, like, and not having a mentor. It was me, just a passion inside where I'm like, there's no reason why I have to be miserable every morning. I'm like, why am I miserable? I have a lot of great things. Why am I miserable? It's because I never felt I had what I wanted. I always was wanting the next thing instead of enjoying all the phenomenal things I had. And when I tweaked that, man, that I have so much more energy every day and I do more than I did before. After I go, like, say 6 appointments in sales, right? Handle all my business stuff. I go home and I help out at the house, or I'll work out, because I have the energy, because I wasn't draining myself, pushing myself to something I don't want, but I'm doing something in just being grateful I get the opportunity to do it. Because if you want $1 million business, you're gonna have to do some shit to get there. It's not just gonna be like, boom, oh, thanks, I got it. Thanks, God.
Yeah.
Like,
I think
You
it's
gotta,
important. I think I'm glad you clarified that. You still, there's the struggle and the fight is still happens. You just have a great
right,
attitude.
but you can do it with a big boulder on your back, or you could do it with wings.
Yep.
And that all falls on your perspective on what you're doing for every task. So that's raising your mindset too. So if you hate doing systems, which isn't my thing, I don't really like writing systems, but when I'm like, you know what, I'm grateful to write this system so that in a year or two, I might be able to sell this for a lot of money to people because, I mastered this thing. And I'll become more of a master at this, doing this, making sure the system's perfect, then I get through it, right? It's kind of like run. I like to run, right? And I put weights on my arms to make it harder. And when I run halfway through my run, I usually run a 5K with like 15 pounds of weights. Like I'm pretty done at that point. And then I'm like, no, what am I good? I can't stop now. What am I gonna call Uber? I gotta go back home, regardless of what your mind thinks. And it's the same thing when you're doing paperwork. Your mind's like, oh, we don't want to do this. We don't want to do this. That's when you got to elevate above it and say, and you stop thinking. And it's like, no, this is the goal. We're going to go to this point. And like, there's no stopping. If I stop here, I'm stranded. Yeah. So you got to go and trust everybody listening. I am going through all this stuff with you guys. Okay. Like I haven't mastered any of this. I'm literally telling you things that, someone came in. I'm literally telling you golden nuggets that have helped me the best through all the hours and hours and hours of seeking of what works best with my mind and actually disciplining it to think different. Okay, so I'm giving you all these things that I'm working on now so that you can get better. That have worked for me. So you might have to see what works for you, but these things really work for me. And I feel like I can articulate them pretty simply so you can start practicing. And this is just like basketball or any other business. Like you got to learn to dribble, and then you got to learn to go between your legs. It's a learning process and it's consistent. If you're not consistent, you're never going to be able to elevate, just like anything else. So it's a practice that you got to discipline yourself on.
So it sounds like a big piece of your journey and your success has been learning to be grateful, like really celebrating gratitude, what you have, the fact that you can breathe air, and in being grateful for the house you have, the success, whatever level it is that you have at that moment. It actually almost, it almost makes it easier for you to then actually achieve more success. Whereas if you were just instead focused on, no, I want more, I want this, I want that, it would actually make it more difficult and ironically almost slow your growth.
Yes, but it's the hardest. It's the simplest thing and the most difficult thing to grasp. Because think about this. Think about life like a video game. Okay? Because it kind of is. Each level gets harder. Okay, so like you could, and if you stay at a low level, life's boring or the game's boring, right? If you stay at the same level, you're like, oh, I hate this board. It's like I'm so like everything that's gonna happen. It's no fun anymore. So I see it like that. I'm like, all right, well, I got comfortable in this level. It's time to level up. Because you don't, unless you got the right mindset, you need to take a little break to breathe and enjoy what you have, and then muscle up again. Because you could burn yourself out if you don't know how to do it properly. Okay. Yeah. So that's very important too. I've learned that and it happened to me. But with leveling up and it being a video game, like who cares if, you lose, you're trying in video games, you start learning the level more and you start getting better at the level. And eventually you learn the level and the boss so well that you beat the level. Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing with every aspect in your life, because you can't just go hard in business and where's your family? Then you go home and there's controversy. And then there's stress. So like, if you don't balance it all out, there's going to be stress somewhere. If you don't work out, if you don't eat right, your health is going to be the stress. You know, if you don't work on your mindset, which no one does, I feel, in this industry, like how I do, you're completely effed, because you're like, this is stress. Like contractors, that this lifestyle is stressful. Okay. So you like, I feel, I tell all my guys, I go, learn your mind, learn to be so structured in your mind where nothing external, you know, can affect you. You know, be so strong internally that, you know, you're a powerful human being where you don't give your power to anything externally. And that's why I say it's like a game. Like, you go out, do your thing. You don't care if you get that bigger house, but you're still attempting to get it. And, you know, even if you fail, you're not like, oh, I failed. You're like, oh, okay, whatever. I learned all this in this experience. And now I'm going to get up again, and I'm going to get to that point where I could get these things. You see what I'm saying? So it's all perspective on how you see everything. And that's what I teach my guys. I go, you could see, so like Eli, let me bring him up again. Like a year ago, we had touch-ups. Dude, the kid would crumble when we had touch-ups. I would be like, oh my God, he's going to quit. You know, like, but I would talk to him for a half hour. He would talk it out. We talk it out. Now, like, I have a touch-up team now, but the guy's so solid now. Nothing phases him. He's like, let's go, let's do it. And I have to get accustomed to him being like that, because I'm like, oh, what? That's awesome.
Different.
You know, like, I'm like, yes. But
Yeah.
I put the time to show him that you could think differently, and things come into your life to make you grateful. Because when we don't have touch-ups, you could be super grateful. When we do, you know, do it the best way. Think about the customer, you know, and how they feel that we got to go do one. And then you go there, you're happy, you do your thing, you go with the customer, and then we grow, everyone grows, everyone wins. You know, it's a win-win for everyone when you're at your highest frequency, energy, vibrancy. That's how I feel. I'm super passionate about it.
Sure. So for people listening who, you know, they like what you're saying, they'd like to try it, don't really know where to start. How do you start with this?
Yeah. I would say I was trying to think about this the other day to put it into perspective. I would say, I think an easy way to start is, you know, seeing where you're being more aware of yourself, like in every moment, right? Like, how do you handle situations? And then, you know, try to be aware enough to elevate your energy, your frequency, and your vibrancy, to where if you're really upset, you can push away the ego and be like, no, I'm not gonna let myself go into stress or panic or anger. I'm gonna relax, breathe it out, and then act in a different way. You know, I started with, now I'm on another level, but I started with Tony Robbins, Les Brown, all those guys. There's a guy called Joe Dispenza who's really good, who puts in like science with spirituality. Joe Dispenza, like, that really helps out. You know, they can really help you grow and understand what I'm talking about. You know, there's a lot of people out there who are kind of mastering it to try to help people let it in a little easier. So I would say Joe Dispenza is great, because he actually shows you the science of how, when you're feeling high vibrancy, how much more energy and power you have with attracting stuff. Because however your energy is, so if you have a negative energy, you're going to attract negativity. You're like a battery. So you want to be as grateful, as loving, you know, as giving as you can, in a frequency where you're also receiving those things, but also not naive, right? You just don't want to like pick anyone and give them stuff. You got to really find the people who, you know, have the good heart, who are ready to elevate, and, you know, you really put energy into those people, and empathy into those people who want more, And if they mess up here and there, it's okay. That's what I did a lot with my team, but I knew that they had a good heart and they weren't going to deceive me. The ones who I saw deceived me, I kind of cut because they weren't ready to be around me yet. So that's how I operate. I definitely give people chances, and I'm very empathetic, but you gotta want the best for yourself.
So where do you find your employees?
Honestly, I got pretty lucky. They were all friends of friends in the group that would come in, train them from, not knowing anything to doing everything our way. So very meticulous. Now I'm bringing people in who have skill, but we have the culture so down that, I let everyone know, I'm watching you, I'm not listening to you. So, I'm expecting a high level of energy of, I want you to be happy. I want you to grow. I want you to become better as a human being. I have your back, but if you show me that you're going to be deceiving, I'm going to let you go regardless of your skill. And I usually give people 3 to 6 months, because if someone could act longer than 6 months without letting their ego in, they should be winning an Oscar at that point.
Sure. So what is your plan for Cabinet Coating Kings moving forward?
Yeah, so right now I just got the shop next to us, so it's another 2,000 square foot shop. So I'm trying to do 12 to 14 jobs by the end of the year. I will hire people who are skilled at the craft, so I don't have to spend so much time training, because now we do have a great training system. After that, we want to go probably get up to 5 shops around Florida, nice. And then decide if I want to keep the business, in-house and grow it around, the United States, or if I kind of just want to sell the systems to people outside the United States, where they can, I can consult them, and they could just buy the process. Or, I could, we'll see. I don't know. I go with the flow with those things. So we'll see what happens.
Sure. Yeah, Alex, man, this has been incredible. Talk about a deep dive into the psyche required for success. It definitely feels like you've got it pretty dialed in here. Do you have anything else, any other piece of advice that you would want to share with our listeners who kind of see your success and want to achieve something similar, or even if they're not focused on the dollar success, want to try to achieve this kind of mindset?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I would say I was 10 years ago, I was addicted to substances. I did not care about anyone else. I was totally selfish. And there's no way I would be here now without, the right group that I surrounded myself with. But I'm pretty much trying to say you could change how you think, how you act, how you are. I'm like a representation of that, of a totally different human being than I was before. And it takes time. So give yourself time, believe in yourself, call yourself phenomenal. Like I call Tanner, and I have like 2 more other friends where I'll call them every other day. And I'll just be like, hey, you're phenomenal. Because people at the top, or who own their own business, they only get complaints all day. So Brandon, you're phenomenal. All right, you're phenomenal. You do some phenomenal things. You help so many people. So if no one tells you that, I'm going to tell you that. You're phenomenal, and I really appreciate you. Everyone out there, you're phenomenal. Believe in yourselves. Let yourselves grow. Give yourselves time. Just like working out. If you never worked out before, you're not going to be going to a competition in 2 months. Okay. So if you never worked on your mind, think of yourself as a 400-pound guy going to the gym. Take this next year and take it slow. Get down to 200 pounds, right? Get down to 300 pounds. And then you go from there. You're changing an addiction. You're changing an autopilot in your brain. So it's gonna take time. It's gonna take awareness. It's gonna take discipline and belief and passion and work. And yeah, but you can do it. And it's beautiful. And I'm working through it every day, guys. what I preach to you is I preach it so passionately, because if I don't, like, I have to deep dive every day or I lose it. Like, my brain wants to go he wants to go back to the old Alex so bad, but I say no. And I wake up in the morning and now I'm getting wisdom on how to be happier. Like that gratitude thing I told you.
Yep.
That was just like a realization a month ago.
Oh, wow.
But it was like aha. It was like, yeah, why I'm always wanting that next thing and I'm never happy. This is why. I should appreciate everything now, still go for the big things. If I get it, phenomenal. If not, I have everything I want and I'm happy now. Yeah. And ever since I started doing that, in the last 3 weeks, I've gotten 40 jobs.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going for 20 this week. But if I get it, awesome. If I don't, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. So you're not stopping going for it. You're still going for it, but you're happy and you're okay either way.
Yeah, and you want it. Like, you're like, yeah, let's go for this, right? Like you have faith in yourself to go for it. And you're gonna, while you're going for it, if you don't get it, you're not down on yourself. But then you go back to the week, all right, what can I do better this week to then get it? Yeah. You know, and then you still have the faith in you and God, or whoever your belief in the creator is. You got to have that faith outside you, because Tanner showed me some today. When it's faith over fear, when you let faith go, fear takes you over. Fear will consume you. Like all day today, like I just purchased that shop. Like I just did the $2,500 deposit. Mm-hmm. Like that's now I have a double the expense, right? Like that fear. Oh, are you gonna make it? Can you get the 12 to 14 jobs? Now you gotta train the admin. Can you do it? Dude, I was all the negative thoughts coming in. I'm like, I started just blocking it out. I'm like, no, I got God on me. I want this. For me to be my best, I need to do this, because I at some point didn't want the business, but I'm like, the business is what's allowing me to stretch and grow my mind and grow the faith and help all these other guys. So you got to do it, and you got to start. You got to go for it in faith, and it's beautiful, man. If you fail, you get up and do it again. I failed so much, but I don't see it like that. I'm like, that was all experience that got me here to be rock solid and ready to rock and roll. And I'm just started. I'm just learning this stuff, guys. Like, I'm just learning this stuff. And look, 2 years, 79 cents. I'm basically a millionaire now if I sold my business. Just letting you know, like, it's that mindset. It was my mind that changed. And then the abundance came, everything came. Okay. A little tweak in the mind, get down the fairway. If you need any help, find me on Instagram or something. You know, I could help you a little bit. You know, I'm not I would say a professional mindset coach. I do help a lot of people who are millionaires who don't have a solid mindset, but they're good at business. But, you know, I just want to help people, like with my business. If they weren't adding to my happiness, I would shut it down. I wouldn't have a business anymore. Like I live by my rules, and elevating everyone, and only people who want to be elevated and great human beings who want to help the world could be around me. And that's it. That's where I draw the line. Yeah.
Well, Alex, I appreciate that offer for people. I'm sure everyone listening appreciates it, and I'm willing to bet that you're going to get some people reaching out to you about that. So thank you for being willing to reach out and help people that are looking for that.
Yeah, and then I do a podcast with Tanner Mullen on Mondays. It's called Mindset Mondays. It's pretty good. We dive into life situations and experiences and how we've grown over the years. So it's something that people have enjoyed. So there's some good golden nuggets in there as well.
And where can people find that?
I think I don't know his podcast. I could send it to you, and then you could put it in.
Send it to me, and we'll put it in the description. Like, so if anyone's listening to,
I think it's the contractor like that. No, I'll do it.
Okay.
Like I said, look, I'm not even into so much these podcast things. I literally reached out to Jason Parrish, which is a phenomenal human being, by the way. And he got me to, in contact with everyone doing the podcast because I wanted to share the mindset part of running a business. That was my passion. So like I could get more, into, maybe doing a podcast or, seeking that side out more, but I just really wanted to get this out because I feel like it's huge.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Alex. Thank you for sharing your message. And thank you for taking the time today, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, you're phenomenal. And remember, everyone, you guys are phenomenal too. All right.
Thanks, man.
All right.
If you want to learn more about the topics we discussed in this podcast and how you can use them to grow your painting business, visit paintermarketingpros.com/podcast for free training, as well as the ability to schedule a personalized strategy session for your painting company. Again, that URL is paintermarketingpros.com/podcast. Hey there, painting company owners. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Give us your feedback. Let us know how we did. And also, if you're interested in taking your painting business to the next level, make sure you visit the Painter Marketing Pros website at paintermarketingpros.com to learn more about our services. You can also reach out to me directly by emailing me at brandon@paintermarketingpros.com, and I can give you personalized advice on growing your painting business. Until next time, keep growing.